Okay, the weather's gone a bit crappy again today, but I thought I'd come back out here and I'll do some a bit more experimentation with this, because it's been suggested to me to try and just choke the barrel down by putting a pipe inside the barrel to reduce its bore, and that might actually cause the gas to build up a little bit more and come out basically with a better bang out the barrel. Now, I don't want to increase the pressure too much built up at the barrel in case it causes a failure at the breech end, due to the way I welded the thing up. I was hoping that initially when I built this that the design would function loud enough anyway without any mucking about, but in reality it's not really performing as loud as I wanted. You may remember from the videos when I was constructing this that I've bolted the rear flange on there with M6 bolts. There's just 4 of them down in there, so I don't really want to create too much overpressure and cause a failure. The other point though was the design of this, in that where the gas is actually fed in actually has a hole. You can't really see this from here, but if I put my finger in there, there's a hole about 10mm diameter, and I suspect it's actually on both sides of the pipe which feeds the gas in. So strictly speaking, there's always going to be an allowance for some pressure to come backwards into this casing. Now, that's one of the reasons why the lid I fit on here isn't screwed down. Notice I just push fit it down. Now, when I'm transporting it around, I put this bungee cord over to make sure that the lid stays on, but when it's being used out in the field, any excess pressure would just pop the lid up so it wouldn't explode or shear screws off or anything like that. It would just pop this lid, and if there was a failure in the breech, I would think it would more likely maybe split one of the bolts and just pop this flange open and not cause a catastrophic failure where the whole unit would go flying apart like some sort of a bomb. So yeah, also you can never have a complete blockage in here which would stop the air getting in and still create a very big explosion, because for the explosion to work you need air and gas. So like jamming the barrel up completely and not having any air in there isn't going to theoretically isn't going to really cause a good explosion. Now, what I'm playing around with, now you may notice I've got a really long piece of scaffold pipe here on the floor. Now, if needed, I could chop that down and fit it all the way from the muzzle to approximately here. Now, the only thing is, doing it this way, I'm going to have a gap around the outside of the pipe. So the only way to really stop that would to probably be chop the back end of this case open and slide the pipe in from that end with a large disc around the diameter of the pipe. Now, if that's the answer, I dare say I can still do that. You know, I can always weld this case back up again. Now, what I'm trying at first is I've got an offcut of scaffold pipe. Now, it's not very long, as you can see there. If I lie that along there, you can see it's just travelling to about there. so that leaves a considerable bit of barrel left behind it. So I'm just choking it down over what, 2.5 foot piece of pipe in here. So I'm going to give that a try. Very crudely, I'm just going to lie that pipe in there. Then I'm going to use a bit of packing foam, which I'm going to roll up around the pipe and bung in. So I'm going to need 2 hands while I do this. Once I've happy with it, I'll test fire it and see what it does. Okay, you can see, very crude setup. I'm not going to stand right in front of this. I'm probably not going to even put the barrel in front of the camera, just in case for some reason it sends the barrel flying out. But let's face it, it's not going to do that, is it? It's not going to launch that piece of scaffold pipe. It's fairly heavy, and there is an unrestricted hole up through the centre. So this is actually about 40mm across inside here. Now obviously the real gun would be a 37mm bore, so that's actually going to be reducing it and making it look far more real if I eventually do a proper job and weld it up. Now if this choking actually improves how loud the gun is, I may do a decent job and line the barrel all the way down and test it that way. First of all, I might just slide the tube in and see if that significantly improves it, and take the pipe all the way down to approximately here behind the shield and see what that does. But first of all is to test it this way and see if that improves the design any. So I've hooked it all up, so it's gassed up, electronics is on, so time for a test shot. There we go, clear out of the way. Now that's actually given a completely opposite effect. It's actually gone a hell of a lot quieter. So that wasn't a very good result, was it? I think we're going to have to try it a couple of times though, to be certain. Still going to get back. Now that's changed a little bit, and you can see it's launched the foam and the barrel slightly forward. It started to push the barrel out. So I'm wondering whether I'm onto something here. The fact that it actually forces a piece of scaffold pipe out the front of the barrel slightly tells me that there is some pressure build up here. Okay, so I'm going to leave this at the front here, not right in front of the barrel, just slightly to the side, and I'm going to give it another test fire and see what this does. One more go. Okay, just a reference. Let's take the pipe out. See if it sounds any louder. I actually think it was a bit louder with the pipe removed. So the question is there any point in choking this pipe, this barrel, all the way down to the back? I'll have to see if I've got any more bits of piping before I go cutting that long scaffold pipe down. So I'll see what I've got kicking around in the shed. I might have something which I can put all the way down and reduce the bore size maybe further back by putting a pipe which is closer to the diameter of that, but sliding it right down inside the bore all the way back to here, and then maybe having a washer welded on it at the back end. Now that could work. So I'll see what I can come up with. Okay, I'm just trying another configuration here. I've slid two pipes together, one that's slightly longer so it goes a little bit further down the barrel, but not by much. So I'm just going to try this one. Let's see what result we get on here. Oh! Right, well, the foam's not really staying in there very well. Yeah, I'll keep looking, see what I can find. Okay, what I'm trying now, so I just put this across here, is I've got two pieces of piping. This one is probably about 2-inch piping, which goes from that wheel, across from that wheel to about there, and then we've got the scaffold pipe, and I've basically slid one inside the other, but I've wrapped a piece of steel plate between them so that it forms a tight fit, and I've hammered one inside the other, so you can see there that's a fairly good seal there. Now if I lie this from there, you'll see that that is travelling to just about there. It's about, say, 12 inches or so from the back of the breech. So I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to slide this inside the barrel, to choke it. First problem I've just realised. I can't slide that all the way through. Reason being, I've got a pin which runs right through the barrel, just about there. So the closest I can get is exactly where I am there. I can't choke it all the way back through to there. So that's the best I can do right at the moment. Now I could reduce this tube by knocking one into the other, but I think what I'll do first of all is I'll just pack it here and leave that excess piece of scaffold sticking out and see what that does. while just testing, while I was just setting that up, the timer was programmed in on the gun, and as I was walking past it, it actually fired. So it proves that the timer circuits on that gun do work. Anyway, I'm going to try it now with this pipe pushed in. Yeah, well, possibly that did actually make a difference. Try packing that in again. Could be if I was to bind this up with some gaffer tape to hold that there, that the explosion may be better. Might give that a quick try. Okay, let's try again. I'm going to move the camera for this one. I don't really feel a significant improvement with this. What is the answer? Still keep coming back to just putting the disc in the rear here and leaving the bore diameter as wide as possible. Interesting. I think the next option is to probably remove all this gubbins and try placing a choke up inside, as I was originally intending to do, and see if that improves. Maybe one more test. Just keep my eye on the rear here, just in case there's anything unusual happening. Yeah, there's no flashes or anything nasty happening down here, so so that seems to be a fairly good result. The barrel actually feels very slightly warm compared to the rest of the metal anyway. Yeah, as you all know, I can improve the explosion on this by putting a large gas bottle on and having it sat in a crate at the side, and using this gas line here to the original regulator and so on. But one of the goals in this system was to try and use a small gas bottle and hide it in the recoil section of the gun so that you wouldn't see any gas system at all, within reason anyway. Yeah, I'll keep playing, see how things go. Okay, I've taken the pipe out the barrel now, so it's gone back to the original configuration. Now I'm trying another idea. Now it might not be an advisable idea, but I'm going to give it a go anyway, and it's actually take out one of the safety elements which is built into the design of the regulator, and it's this little gadget which I believe it could be some form of flashback arrestor. Now there is another flashback arrestor one-way valve system fitted just here in the pipe, a short distance from the regulator. Also, before any ignition takes place, the gas is switched off. The gas injection is switched off at the regulator. So I'm just taking out one slight restriction in gas flow. Now this may allow more gas to get into the barrel before the ignition. So let's have a go, see what happens. Here's nothing. Yeah, get back to a safe distance, for the first shot. Yeah, well, it's certainly louder than it was with the choked barrel. So let's try this again, looking from the front and getting an idea of the volume coming out. Let's line that up, looking down the barrel again. Give it another go. Let's see what happens now. I actually think that's a little bit louder, and that's just allowing more gas flow into the barrel. One or two more tries. Yeah, it is improving. Let's get you a little bit closer to the action. Let's have a good view up the barrel. I go through a lot of video cameras this way. Let's zoom in there. Check. This is recording. Yes, it is. I did notice yesterday when it fired, it shook the video camera on its tripod. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll keep on playing.